Hi, my name is Luis Gonzalez, and today I'm going to be responding to the claim that illegal immigrants stimulate the United States economy. My opponent used, for secondary claims, immigrants affect job availability by willingly working for less money. Immigrants become part of the economy and partake in citizenship duties. Immigrants helped shape the foundation of the U.S. agricultural system. First of all, for her claim that immigrants, for her secondary claim that immigrants affect job availability by working for less money, my opponent claims immigrants are likely to take jobs away from native-born workers, but by working as farm laborers, they're already doing so. If they work picking fruit, someone else could be doing that's native-born. Secondly, the immigrants willingly working for less money, which my opponent claims, actually stymies the economy. That's to say that it doesn't stimulate it, but it halts it. Farm worker families typically take home between $15,000 to $17,500 a year, according to Farm Worker Justice, an organization that deals with farm labor statistics. And the United States Census has determined that the national average of income is $53,657. Now, if you compare the less than $20,000 that farm workers are making to the $53,000 that the national average is, by settling for less, these families contribute less to the GDP. GDP is the gross domestic product, the best measure of the economy. Consumer spending makes up most of the GDP. And so by paying these families less, they are less able to contribute to the GDP as if they were paid better. Response to our secondary claim, immigrants become part of the economy and partake in citizenship duties. Each year, the estimated contribution of undocumented immigrants with state and local taxes is $11.74 billion, according to the Institution on Taxation and Economic Policy, with data taken from 2017. The advocate used the same source, but mentioned that it was $10.6 billion. Secondly, comparing the $11.7 billion to what the federal government takes in every year from all state and local taxes is a drop in the bucket. The Tax Policy Center wrote that the government takes in $341 billion in state and local taxes. This means that undocumented immigrants only contribute 3.4% of all state and local taxes. And to me, that's not enough to sufficiently say that it's stimulating the the United States economy. Third of all, her claim that immigrants help shape the foundation of the United States agricultural system. The advocate brought up the fact that the Bracero program of the 1940s brought in immigrants to work in the United States. With the Bracero program established, it established a system where immigrants and farm laborers made up a majority of all farm workers. In the agricultural field, the majority would have been immigrants. The United States Department of Agriculture estimates that 71% of farm workers are foreign-born, but only 48% of crop workers claim they weren't authorized to work. Now, the advocate used that 71% of foreign-born immigrants work in farm laborers when the claim that she's supposed to be supporting is that illegal immigrants stimulate the U.S. economy, not foreign-born. The better statistic would have been 48% of crop workers. And according to the same organization, in 2012, these workers are only getting paid $10.80 per hour, and some even less. This system doesn't stimulate the economy, it halts it. By underpaying workers, you reduce, like I've said, the amount of money that these immigrant workers can contribute to the economy. And this system that's in place doesn't stimulate the economy, even though they do pay taxes. It's not enough to warrant stimulation. And in conclusion, immigrant workers don't contribute as much as they could in GDP, enough to warrant stimulation of the U.S. economy. She used an inaccurate figure for the contribution of state and local taxes. And the system that she brings up to support the stimulation of the U.S. economy isn't at its current standing, it's not enough to warrant stimulation. Thank you.
Okay, structurally everything's easy to follow. On the first point, the argument that you're making basically seems to suggest that because farm workers get paid substantially less, that they aren't really adding that much value to the economy. That's a reasonable point to make. You assert, however, everything about the GDP and how it's dependent upon consumer spending. The notion that they would be here's the thing. You need to demonstrate, for instance, the advocate said that they're willing to take less. I suppose that means that if native workers were being paid and they were being paid more, that would stimulate the economy more. We got a couple of big hypotheticals here, and I think you need a little bit more data on this to suggest that's true. I thought you did a little bit better job on the second point when you were talking about the tax revenues, and you suggested that the impact of the taxes paid by the undocumented immigrants is relatively minor compared to the total amounts that are brought in. One other thing I think that doesn't get mentioned is whatever costs there are that are associated with providing services to people and whether or not there is a reasonable trade-off there. There are all kinds of services that everybody requires, and if undocumented workers utilize resources, that costs money too. So does it cost more than the 3.4% or more than the $11 billion that we're talking about here? That would be something that I think would enhance your argument if you could document that. The background material on the Bracero program is okay. I think the argument that you're making here is that in essence, importing these workers is what changed the way farm working worked. Who takes responsibility for it, what the pay scale was, and that because the circumstances changed, that it had a negative effect on how people perceive these jobs or what they're willing to pay. I think you need to make that claim a little bit clearer. I did think that your summary was pretty effective. I do think it's a little bit of a problem that you never look at the audience when you're speaking to us. Gesundheit.